How's everybody this morning? I hope everybody had a good night's sleep and is feeling well and rested this morning. If you're not feeling well and rested, or if you're a little off or anything like that, this will be a warning that I'm going to talk about some stuff that might be uncomfortable to hear. But again, we need to start having the ability to have uncomfortable conversations if we want to really kind of orient ourselves in the right direction in society, like as a whole. And I'm not talking about just me or just you or just Canada or just the United States. I'm talking about the whole world, like literally the whole world. And that might seem a little presumptuous or pompous, but I think that you'll see that what we're going to talk about here is it definitely sits kind of like at that level. It sits at an individual level, and it sits at the highest level of understanding broad conceptions of what's happening in the world. And it's really important to do that because what happened yesterday was Jesse Michaels, I never know how to say it, had on Joe Rogan and dropped a pod. So I don't know if it was I think it was a couple days ago they recorded it, but they dropped it yesterday. And I just finished watching it this morning, and let me tell you that I love Joe Rogan. He's just such a curious guy, and I appreciate him so much. But there is something that he's missing. And right now I'm writing a Substack. I'm almost finished it. I'm going to the library to put the finishing touches on it. Talking about a couple of debates. One debate that I listened all the way through with a fellow named Dr. Richard Carrier and Andrew Wilson, who some of you might know depending on how tapped into what the kind of Christian response is right now in the United States to a lot of the things that are happening. But he doesn't touch on nearly the number of things that Joe Rogan and Jesse Mitchell's talk about, Michaels. And I was driving my son to school this morning. It gets harder and harder to wake up these days. It's like when you get closer to the as you get closer to the solar minimum and that time of year, at least over here in Canada, where the days get their shortest and then they start getting longer again. It gets harder and harder to wake up. But so we let him sleep in a few minutes, and I drove him to school. And on the drive, it takes about 10 minutes, but we've been watching The Chosen together, my two sons and me. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I want them to be able to contextualize the kind of life and times of Jesus, what was happening during that time for the Jewish people as a whole. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, these are the two types of like authorities that existed in Israel, which was occupied by Rome. You need to understand that all this stuff was going on there when Jesus came and basically revealed himself to the world. But there's this one character that plays Matthew, and Matthew is like super good with numbers, right? He's like highly intelligent, but he becomes so intelligent early that he skips grades. He's doing very well at theology, or basically his like religious studies, studies of the Torah, but he's also extremely good at math. So let's try to understand that from a couple different dimensions. One would be philosophical, or even like artistic, or the ability to like debate ideas. And one is just like math, okay? So if the world makes sense to you in terms of math, you look at it in terms of math and statistics and things that make logical sense to you because they exist in the material world. But then if you go to Torah class, these people are very into the idea of logic, arguing both sides of a premise and trying to figure out what the truth is by kind of like debating back and forth. Anyways, I said to my son, you know, this is kind of what I realized, and I think that this is where I'm definitely doing something different than anybody that I see out there. In fact, I made up a little category for myself. I'm calling myself a theologician. So not just a logician, but a theology logician. So I'm basically kind of like meeting at the intersection. And I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just telling you this is what I'm doing, and I'm telling you how I know it's right. So I'm meeting at the intersection of the kind of artistic, logical world and the mathematical world. Now, I'm not saying my math is strong because it's not, but it's also not bad. Like I understand basic math stuff. It's just where you start getting into the more abstract physics and all that kind of stuff. Like I think I'm not doubting. I wouldn't doubt the empirical world. I wouldn't doubt the things that we can make sense of with our five senses and all the kinds of studies and things that we've kind of understood and uncovered about the world using the tools that we have and math. And I understand why people who think like Matthew, that dude, people who think like Matthew want the world to be straightforward and material and logical. But there's also a side of the world that most of the world seems to have wanted to shut out, which is the metaphysical world. Okay, the world of things that transcend common knowledge or understanding or experience, or it just like it doesn't fit. And what happens with Matthew when he sees Jesus perform a miracle, and this is highly, sensationalized because they're trying the show is so good at making people understand what kinds of things would appeal to people's sensibilities in ways that they can't deny what they've seen Jesus do. Okay? Because there's kind of like there's the world of magic. The world of magic was definitely around back then. And magic was the ability to do a sleight of hand, but there is always a logical explanation. You'll see a lot of magicians point this out, that they just practice the sleight of hand. They practice the art of misdirection so much that they get so good at it that it actually becomes instinctive to them. And there's the I think it's Area 22 is the guy's podcast. I remember watching an episode with him where he was describing how he became a magician and how he got into UFOs and everything like that. He does a podcast now. I think it's called Area 52 or yeah, I think Area 52 or 22. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Reverse. um, he was describing how he got into it and how he was doing his magical tricks, and he said that there are some things about doing magic, that defy statistical analysis. And I've talked about this before, but he brings up a couple of examples where I can't remember. It's like if you have a room with 122 people, the odds that two people are going to have the same birth. Like I can't remember the exact details. It doesn't matter. But the point is that it's something that defies statistics. Okay, it's an anomaly. And when people engage with this anomalous thing that exists, the metaphysical that exists in the material world, and it is undeniable, but you have to practice with it. The point is that there were people that would do that kind of thing, sorcerers like your Merlins, and like there's always been people that dabble in the dark arts, which is it's more or less the territory that should be occupied by gods. Does that make sense? Because it's not part of the material or physical world. It is something else. But it can indeed have influence on the world. But to the average person, any advanced technology can appear the same as magic. And for a long time, I was playing with AI and I went, oh, this is magic. And in a way it is, and in a way it isn't. And I'm gonna explain that in a second. So I said to my son, there was a report I didn't watch. I saw the video come up in my YouTube feed, and I didn't watch the video, but there was a report about some country western song being created by an artificial intelligence. Like I use Suno. Although I'm starting to side story, I'm losing access. I've lost everything. Just so we're clear, because I have been so dogged on this relentless path of trying to help other people see what's going on in the world, I basically lost everything. So, if anybody is watching this, I have in the past put a PayPal link on my page, but nobody, I don't know what it is, but I'm really working hard for everybody out there, and I'm kind of like, it hurts me that nobody seems to care that I've thrown everything away for them. But whatever. I'm not bitter about it because really I'm not throwing it away for them, and I'm not throwing it away for material goods. I'm throwing it away. I'm putting my treasures away in God's kingdom because I do believe Jesus Christ was the creator of the universe, and I'm 100% on this. There's okay, like, in all honesty, you can't be 100% about anything, but like, come on, the statistics are an anomaly. The statistics of how the Bible should prepare us for exactly this moment in time. And that's kind of something that, Joe Rogan and Jesse Mitchell's Michaels, they have this whole discussion about all of these anomalies, all of this anomalous behavior, and why it all circles around artificial intelligence, UFOs, back engineering, all this kind of idea. And that people, I don't know if you noticed, but everybody who is not completely wrapped up in their materialist worldview right now understands, like, intuitively, that there is something happening right now, and the only way to think about it is through the lens of religion, and not just any religion. Okay, the three majors, the three Abrahamic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And of course, because it came from the cradle of civilization, right? These three religions, and the entire trajectory of the world has been, especially the Western world, has been about the Christian ethos. And there's a lot of people that have tried to hijack that and say it's the Enlightenment and rationality, and this is the kind of stuff. When I hear these kinds of arguments, I'm sympathetic to them. Sorry, when I hear these kinds of arguments, I'm sympathetic to them, but